really was to
that I felt like I needed, and I was comfortable in that space of just me and God.
Hope is offensive. Hope is desperate.
Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. It's Coach Karen. Let me take my glasses off because I get that blur, that shine. It is Monday. It's my favorite day of the week. And that means you and I are going to have a little bit of coffee and we're going to get the jumpstart that we need to get our week going. How's it going? How was your weekend? Come on in here. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome to Jumpstart Your Vision with Coach Karen Hilton. I am Coach Karen Hilton, and if you hear something in the background, that is my printer. Those are my notes, so forgive the noise, but it is what it is. Anyway, I hope you had a great Mother's Day weekend. My kiddos outdid themselves. It was a really, really beautiful weekend, and I'm kind of at that point where, as a mom, I don't want a lot of tchotchkes and stuff like that. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but that's just me. Anyway, it is going to be a great show today. And we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics. One of the things that is true for most of the leaders that I work with is that they're dealing with overwhelm. They're busy. But you know what? Most of that busy can turn into overwhelm quickly if you don't have a framework or a system to help you stay on top of it. You say, well, Karen, most of the leaders you work with are executives or CEOs or founders, founders as in venture capital funded. So they're already scaling their businesses. I work with entrepreneurs who are either new or establishing their business. Most of you know that here in the Rock Your Vision community. But on the corporate side of my practice, one of the frameworks that I teach on a regular basis, like on the regular, is how to deal with that overwhelm. And that may be surprising for some of you. Well, these are the people that you would think would have it all together. Friend, let me just tell you that is not the case in almost all cases. Not in every case, but in almost all cases. Most of the leaders that I work with at some point need help wrangling all of the things. And that means that's good news for you. Excuse me. Because that means you're in good company. So if this is a topic that is top of mind for you, maybe you're an entrepreneur, maybe you are a workplace leader and you're trying to manage all of the things, whatever it is for you, maybe that resonates with you. I'm going to teach you the same framework that I teach them. This is like a 50-page document that I use in my corporate practice. It is a client fave from CEOs all the way down. And I'm going to teach it to you today because I think that some of the things I'm going to share with you today can help you rock your vision with a little more peace. Anybody? Can I get an amen? All right. Do me a favor. Let me know you're here. And if you are watching on YouTube, if you're a YouTube fam, hey, YouTube fam, good to see you this morning. Y'all jump in the comments and let us know that you're here. And do me a favor. Make sure to like and follow because the algorithm genies and fairies up in the world want to know that we're here. And we want people to know that we're here because we want to get vision trending. We believe that vision is the number one power player for the 21st century leader. So let's figure out all the things and let's do it together. You don't have to do it by yourself. Okay, I'm going to go close the door and grab something off the printer and I'll be right back. Talks amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. 2 seconds. Here we go. And just like that, I'm back. All right. So who do we have in here this morning? Let's see. Of course, we've got John Kovaleski, who is our executive technical producer. Hey, Coach John, good to see you. We've got Amanda Bowen. Hey, girl. Hey. She is on our marketing team. So glad to have you in here. And I just have to say how much I love Amanda. She has the most beautiful spirit. She is so hungry. She's always learning. She has some of the most wicked ideas. When we do our marketing and strategy meetings, she just has such a fresh perspective. And you guys, I have to tell you that one of the ways to rock your vision, we're going to talk a little bit about it today, is having the right team in place. And right now, I have to be honest with you, I got the right team in place. I'm just saying. So anyway, and we have, of course, Kimberly Frazier. Hey, Kim, good to see you, girl. How was your weekend? I know you spent it with your little one, and I am so excited. The pictures are just too cute for words. We've got to meet. Anyway, let's get into it. I am really excited to be able to give you guys some meat, some things you can actually put your hands on, some things you can put in place, steps, strategies, and guides. And by the way, we've got some updates coming to our offerings for the Rock Your Vision community, many of which will still be free, that are going to give you the opportunity to download the tools and resources that we use. So if that's something you're looking forward to, let me know in the comments. And yeah, we're gonna do that thing. All right, one final announcement before I get started. On May 26th, we are going to be doing a workshop here in the Metro Atlanta area for those of you, or those of you that know people who have been affected by layoffs, downsizing, reduction in hours, that sort of a thing. We're going to be doing a live workshop. It is going to be absolutely free, where we're going to be focused on things like recruiting and job search in the digital age, in the 21st century, 2023 style. We're going to be doing resume review and resume prep. We are going to be doing some workshops on navigating conflict. We're going to be doing some workshops on entrepreneurship and is it the right thing and the next step for you. If that's something that you would be interested in attending, let me know in the comments, because we are putting this together absolutely free. Now, we know there are lots of organizations in the Metro Atlanta area and really across the nation that are doing that kind of thing. So we're going to be partnering with them and providing you lists and resources of things that you can find. Many of the resources are absolutely free. If that's something you'd like to be a part of, let me know. And by the way, if you are a service provider and you think that you have a service or you'd like to volunteer your time that would be helpful to people that fall into that category, send us a DM. We would love to hear from you, because we believe that we do these things as a community together. All right. Sound good? Okay, let's get started. We've got a lot to cover today. Okay. We are talking today about what it means to wrangle overwhelm. If you have dealt with overwhelm, you're a workplace leader, you're an entrepreneur, you're a mission-driven leader, maybe you're a pastor, or you're running a community organization. Maybe you are trying to build a nonprofit, you're starting a nonprofit. I just want you to raise your hand and say, if you've dealt with overwhelm in the past 6 months, put an emoji in the comments. I need to see who's out here and what y'all are thinking about, because maybe this just applied to me at one time in my life, and I'm just out here on my own. Speaking of which, do y'all remember the song Out Here on My Own by Irene Cara? I'm having a moment, so just come with me. Irene Cara, remember Out Here on My Own? Yeah, if you've been singing that in the past 6 months, I need y'all to show up for me today, okay? Amanda said she was born overwhelmed. Same. It's just in my DNA, y'all, okay? It's just in my DNA. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what overwhelm is, because it's important that we understand what overwhelm is before we talk about this framework, okay? So describe for me what overwhelm is for you. Amanda, Kimberly, John, Delia. Hey, Delia, good morning, girl. What is overwhelm for you? Put it in the comments. I want to know, what is overwhelm for you? What does that feel like? What goes through your head? What comes out of your mouth? What comes up in like your physiology and your psychology, your brain? Loss of control. Kimberly says she feels like she's not in control of anything. Absolutely. Delia, she's raising her hand like, yep, been there, done that. Okay, come on, y'all, jump in here. Amanda says, oh, this is good. Hyperstimulation Mind all over all the things, all the things, all the things. Yep, this, that, and the other. Delia says, my invisible to-do list as a mother, wife, and entrepreneur. Come on with it. Yes? Does that resonate with anybody? You have all the things. I was driving down the road the other day, you guys, and don't tell anybody. This is just between us. I was driving down the road the other day, and I was simultaneously worrying about what I was not doing as a mother. Come on, Delia. What I was not doing as a mother, what I was missing and had forgotten about as an entrepreneur, and what I had forgotten about as a wife, all at the same time. I got to the red light and had an epiphany that I was actually driving and should probably lay it aside for a moment. That was happening all at the same time. That, friend, is overwhelm. Now, all of us have stuff to do and to, multiple responsibilities. I am not that person that's like, oh, we should just all sit around and eat bonbons. I'm not talking about that. But overwhelm is what happens when that state is persistent. Okay? Come on. It's persistent. That means you never really have an opportunity to rest, to focus, to strategize, to change or adapt. That's why, friend, we're talking about this topic today. Okay? That's why we're talking about this today. Every vision-driven leader you know. Now, not every leader is a vision-driven leader. Okay? Let's set that up. Not every leader you know is a vision-driven leader. That's for another episode. But for every vision-driven leader you know, overwhelm is real. When we tolerate it and we don't do the work we're going to do today, it becomes persistent. So here's what that looks like. I wrote it down. You're busy, but you constantly feel like you're never caught up. Anybody? You're worried and you're anxious about being worried. Again, this may just be me. I'm telling all my stuff. You are externally all together and internally feeling like you're falling apart a little bit. Y'all got quiet. Anyway, y'all know what that feels like. When you tolerate what we're talking about, that's what happens. And I've got great news. You don't have to tolerate it. There are simple, I didn't say they were easy. There are simple strategies and frameworks that you can employ today, friend. You ready? Karen, stop talking and get to teaching. Okay. I'm going to teach you the ultimate strategy to wrangling overwhelm and reclaiming your focus. I call it the Eagle's Eye framework. Y'all write that down. And by the way, can you do me a favor? Can you just do me a favor? Because we want to get to talking about this everywhere. Okay. Share these episodes, these teachings are free. Share in your network. It matters, you guys, because the reality is in the times that we live in, we don't have to tolerate this kind of thing. Okay. So share with your network, take a minute and share with your network. We want to invite people into the conversation. I'm going to share with you today what I call my Eagle's Eye framework. And again, if you aren't familiar, if we're just meeting for the first time, I'm an executive coach, HR consultant, and org strategist, and I teach this stuff on the regular to my CEOs and executives and venture capital funded entrepreneurs. I teach this in Vision Casters Academy, aspects of it in Vision Casters Academy. If you're not a part, then we'll talk about that a little bit later. But this is your opportunity to pause the overwhelm and to take a step back and to get out of the overwhelm mode. You say, hold on, Karen, you don't understand. I don't have any opportunity to stop. I am always going because I always have to be going. Friend, you are what I call a gerbil. Now, do not get offended by that because there are times when that applies to me as well. But I'm going to tell you the difference between a gerbil and an eagle. Y'all ready? I'm going into the analogies. Y'all know I love analogies, but this one's going to hit. So come on in here. Okay. A gerbil, y'all know what a gerbil is? It's a little rodent. It's cute. It's super popular, especially with the kiddos. It's cute, but very vulnerable, right? Their legs can only take them so far, and they have a limited sight range. They are reactive 24/7. Okay? Reactive 24/7. They're always looking for something to eat, always looking for something to eat, something to nibble on, something to nibble on, something to nibble on. And most of the time, they keep their nose to the ground. They look up every once in a while, but they can only see so far. Their size, their focus, and the way that they're wired means that if given an opportunity to jump on what we call a gerbil wheel, they will jump on it and they will stay on it. They will stay on it until they can't, like they just physically cannot do anymore. That's a gerbil. How many of you, for you, that sounds familiar? If I don't have a way of breaking the cycle of the gerbil wheel phenomenon in my life and in my business, I will stay a gerbil. How many of you feel that way or have felt that way in the past 6 months? You're doing this. You're looking for everything all around. You're reactive. You're busy, but you're reactive to all the things. That's a gerbil. And if you want to be cute, like if that's what you're going for, then by all means, this might not be the right episode for you. But let me talk to you about the Eagle's Eye framework, because this is the framework that's going to give you the teeth to be able to pull yourself out of that gerbil wheel mode. And for those of you who are saying, it's just not even possible, Karen doesn't understand what I'm dealing with. Friend, let me tell you something. Anytime you are doing something worth doing and it starts to get hard, that's the point of positive disruption. We're going to do a whole episode on positive disruption. That's the point of positive disruption that gives you the indication that it's time to employ the Eagle's Eye strategy. Because if you don't, you will stay in gerbil wheel phenomenon. Oh, and by the way, let me tell you this. This is just for free, okay? Breaking the gerbil wheel phenomenon is not going to be easy. You remember I said it was simple but not easy? It's not going to be easy. But the only way to break the gerbil wheel phenomenon, the only way to break out of overwhelm is to force it. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to make somebody mad. You're going to have to walk away from something or someone. You may end up having to drop a ball, or maybe you've already dropped a ball. You're going to have to own that. Some of you are in overwhelm gerbil wheel mode and you're just tolerating it, and other people are noticing, but you're not talking about it. Just going to have a little sip of coffee. Please don't be mad at me and don't send me any hate mail because y'all know I don't read that stuff. Let's get out of gerbil wheel mode. There are 3 things you need to know about the world of birds. Here we go. Get your notepad. There are 3 views that as a vision-driven leader, you need to pay attention to. One is the bird's eye view. Y'all write it down. Y'all write it down. Hold 1 second. Y'all write it down. Are you writing it? Y'all write it down. Bird's eye view. Let's talk about birds. Birds are close to the details. They work on everything. They're reactive to internal and external disruptors. I want you for a second, if you're close to a window, just look outside the window and see if you see any birds. They fly here, there, and everywhere. They're birds. They're beautiful, but they're birds. Now let's talk about hawks. Come on. Hawks are a type of bird, but a hawk and a robin are two very different types of birds. Hawks are responsible for more territory than a robin is. They see how things are working or not working, but they're also subject to pecking and the annoying kind of trivial things that are out there in their atmosphere, in their environment. Are y'all following me? Come on in here. The hawk is responsible for more territory, and they see how things are working. They're beautiful, majestic birds. I'm an amateur bird watcher, for those of you that didn't know. So that's why we're talking about birds, okay? That's my model. But they're also subject to every little thing that comes up that decides, I don't like you here. Have y'all ever seen that happen in the sky? There's this beautiful large bird, and then all of a sudden it's getting pecked. That's a hawk, or some version of a hawk. Now let's talk about eagles. You ready? Eagles see and understand the whole picture. Come on. They can exercise wisdom. They exercise patience and strategy to select the right things at the right time. Eagles scan the environment with little to no noise. They're not looking for a crowd. They're not looking for fans. Come on in here, y'all. We're getting ready to go. Okay? They're not looking for somebody to pat them on the back. They're not looking for somebody to affirm who they are. Delia, I feel like I just feel that, okay? Y'all, eagles know who they are. They know what they're called to do. They know their assignment. They may be new to the territory, but they're coming into it. They're coming into it understanding that they're not trying to compete with the gerbils and the robins and the hawks. Anyway, eagles navigate the winds of change and disruption to their advantage. Notice I did not say that they fly around trying to pretend like there are never storms. There are never, raging winds. There are never hurricanes. They use all of those things to their advantage. So question, which do you want to be? A gerbil, a bird, a hawk, or an eagle? It's not a judgment, it's just a question. For those of us that are vision-driven leaders, you are in the workplace. You have a vision for your career. You have a vision for your team, for your organization. For my entrepreneurs, you have a vision. I didn't say you knew all the things to do. I didn't say you had it all together. I didn't say you have $5 million in the bank. That's not what I'm talking about. You have a vision. Friend, the power play for you as a vision-driven leader is to get into eagle mode. Come on. Somebody, can I get an amen? Okay, if you want that, you need to get into eagle mode. Now, let me say this very clearly. I need somebody to get this. Being a vision-driven leader is not about having a big title. It's not at all about having a big title. It is not about having a desire or an aspiration to run a business. Some of the most inspiring vision-driven leaders in the Rock Your Vision community are stay-at-home parents, male and female. Some of them are stepping out of the workplace. They are not necessarily retiring, but they are shifting their focus away from being a leader, and they are becoming an individual contributor. Some of the most inspiring vision-driven leaders in our community are caregivers. They do not have what the world would say is some sort of, beautiful, sexy, big job. Their big job is caring for a loved one. Y'all know that was my story. But at the time, friends, I didn't think I could rock my vision. I didn't think that being a vision-driven leader was something for me. I thought when I became a caregiver, I was opting out of that. It was one of the reasons why I struggled so hard, and it took me so long. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Because if this doesn't apply to you at some point in your life, I want you to go back and remember what we're talking about today. Here are a few perspectives you're going to need to get into eagle mode. First, each view is useful. I am not disparaging the bird or the hawk. I love birds in general. There is a time when you need to do both. There's a time when you need to be close to the details, right? There are times when, if you are a CEO or a founder, you need to get into the details and see what's happening at the ground level. You may actually need to be doing the things at the ground level, but you can't stay there. In order for you to rock your vision, meaning to do what it is that God's called you to do, you cannot be always so close to the details, or something will come for you and you'll be blindsided by it. So there's a time when you need the bird's eye view, but you can't stay there necessarily. Are y'all following me? Y'all talk to me. Y'all are mighty quiet in here. If you're watching live, drop a note in the comments and let me know if this resonates with you. Okay. Here's another perspective you have to understand to get into eagle mode. Okay. You need to understand the difference. And this is true whether you're a workplace leader or you're an entrepreneur or you are starting a nonprofit. You have to understand the difference between administration and operations. Okay. Now I didn't mean to get personal, but I just realized somebody probably like got offended by that. You need to understand the difference between administration and operations. Another episode. You have to understand the difference between being busy and being productive. So good. Karen, that was good. You have to understand the difference between busy and productive. Being busy, all the things. Being productive, being focused and busy on the right things at the right time. Okay. You have to understand the difference between being nice and effective. I love y'all. Okay. You have to know the difference between being nice and effective. I am super nice. I am super sweet until I'm not. And if you mess with my kids, my husband, or my money, I'm coming for you. You have to understand the difference between being nice and effective. I had a conversation the other day with an educator. I love educators. I come from a family of educators. There are educators in this here group. But this particular educator tried it, and I am that parent. Like, I believe the teacher, and then, like, there are no questions asked. But this particular conversation was really, really important. And they thought that I wasn't going to do my homework, and I did my homework. And there were things involved. I was nice until they realized I was also effective. You have to understand the difference. You have to understand the difference between nice and effective when it comes to your team. You have to understand the difference between nice and being effective as as a business owner or as a workplace leader, listen to me very carefully. If you are tolerating, if you've convinced yourself, I just want to help people and like, I just want to do good in the world. And, I really don't talk to my customers and clients about price because I just want to be a help to them. Friend, I just want to tell you something. If you are not effective in the workplace, as an entrepreneur, in ministry, if you are not effective, but you're being really, really nice and you're giving it all away and you're not pricing correctly, or you have not put a business plan in place, or you have not defined your vision, you are going to spin your wheels and you're going to stay in that gerbil mode, friend. Come on, y'all come with me for a minute. Am I preaching to myself this morning? You're going to stay in that mode. You have to understand the difference between being nice and effective. Sometimes it means that you have to have courageous conversations. And the only way to have courageous conversations is if you're in eagle mode. Okay, I'm moving on. All right, step-by-step guide. Here you go. Get your list ready. Let's do this. First thing, identify and categorize every area of responsibility in your work or your life, whatever you're working on. Identify and categorize every area of responsibility and impact. So you remember I talked about you have to know the difference between administration and operations. Administration is what your business, company, or team has to have in place to exist. Think about it. Okay, administration, so taxes, your business license, your certifications, that's administration. The things that your business or your family needs to exist. Okay. For a family, maybe it's a mortgage and a vehicle, whatever those things are. Make a list of those things in the administration category. Operations. Operations is what your business, company, team, or family needs to function. They're different. Okay. So operations would be things like branding, sales, and marketing. Product, service, or content development. If you are a writer or somebody like me, content development is one of the areas of responsibility I have to manage. Okay. So product, service, or content development. Another category would be product, service, or content delivery. How are you delivering that product or that service? Or that content? How are you delivering that? Okay, this is where we're making buckets. All right, make a list of all of those categories. Finance and accounting, HR and staffing, whether you have full-time employees or part-time employees, whether you have FTEs, W-2 or W-9 employees. Which do you have? Okay. Again, these are categories, you guys. Customer acquisition. How are you workflowing how people have a journey with you? What's your customer journey? Okay. Again, workplace leadership. If you're in the workplace, if you're an entrepreneur, if you are in ministry, come on in here, nonprofits. I'm coming for you too. Listen. You have a customer journey. Whoever you are serving is your customer. Okay. What's that journey like? Okay. How do people get to you? And then once they get to you, how do you know what to do with them? You say, Karen, I am doing all of those things. I'm a one-man show and I'm doing it just fine. Okay. Let's talk in a year. Let's talk in a year. Anyway, okay. Step one in getting into eagle mode is to identify and categorize your areas of responsibility and impact. Okay. Second, assess what you need and what you want. Come on. Assess what you need and what you want. Here is one of the ways to do that. Okay, you ready? Rate each category, rate how you're doing in each category on a scale of 1 to 5. Okay. This is just for your purposes. This is what I do with my leaders. Each and every category, y'all, it's painful. And for some of my CEOs and executives, I mean, they're running hospital systems or they're running, a multi-million dollar, multi-billion dollar firms. We do this exercise, me and them, either virtually or in a boardroom, literally sleeves rolled up. And it's ugly and they don't like me initially, but we come out of it and they're like feeling like a genius. Okay. Rate each category on a scale of 1 to 5. How are you doing? 1 being, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. I am failing miserably. 5 is, I am knocking this out of the park. This is my genius zone. I am absolutely where I need to be. And y'all go back a couple of episodes where I defined the different zones for vision-driven leaders. Okay. Go back and watch that episode. Maybe we'll link it later. But anyway, so assess what you want and what you need and rate yourself in each category on a scale of 1 to 5. Make a list. Once you in each of those categories, I want you to step back from that category list. Okay. Now I want you to get a separate piece of paper and I want you to make a list of how you spend your day or maybe how you spend your week. Okay. Make a list of how you spend your week. I do this, I do that. I usually end up having to spend time doing this. Whatever that thing is, make a list of how you are spending your time. Are you working on social media stuff when you should be doing something else? In other words, identify where you are spending your zones. Are you in your genius zone, 80% of your week? Or are you in somebody else's zone the rest of your week? I'm serious, y'all. This is where you get to getting out of gerbil mode and into eagle mode. The only way you can get to eagle mode is to take the time to move away from the detail. That may mean that you need to block out a day or a week. I don't know anybody who can do all of this in one day. If you're really going to do it, I don't know any of you. And by the way, I don't care what role you play in your life. You have to take time away. Even Jesus took time away from the administration and operations of his ministry. Warren Buffett says, now this is Warren Buffett, so he can afford to do this, but he got there for a reason. He says that he spends 80% of his time thinking and dreaming. I get it. He's Warren Buffett, but there's something to be learned by that. I just bought a book, I'll link it later, called Time to Think. You have to have brain space. You cannot stay on a constant wheel of doing, friend. Did you know that any organism or mechanism that does not have space to rest will burn out? It will fail. So keep on the gerbil wheel if you want to, but I'm telling you, eagle mode is your power play. Whether you're trying to maintain, you're trying to sustain, but especially if you are trying to scale. And you remember we talked about in a prior episode that scaling is not always about doing more. It's not always about building a business. Sometimes there are plenty of people that are in the workplace and they know that they are called to the workplace. That was my story for 35 years, right? So scaling is not always about doing more. But eagle mode is the power play. Y'all put it in the chat. Eagle mode is the power play. Okay, make a list of how you spend your week. Let's do the week. What do you literally just don't judge it, just write it down. I did this exercise recently with an executive director who was absolutely overwhelmed, very well respected, on track to be promoted, but she was absolutely overwhelmed. And she was secretly ashamed to even talk about it. Why? Because she didn't know how to fix it. And this is the secret, friend. Most of us don't know how to get off of gerbil wheel mode. I didn't know. I had to like literally almost fall apart at the seams before I got it. Okay. You have to pull away. Make a list of how you got your list. You've listed all the things. I want you to identify by highlighting 2 different colors on that list of the things that you're spending your week on. Identify what excites you and energizes you in that work and what exhausts you. Okay, 2 different highlight colors. Okay, maybe yellow and orange, or yellow and green, or green and purple. I don't care. Identify what items on that list energize you and what items exhaust you. 2 different colors for those 2 things. When you identify the things that excite you or energize you and what exhausts you, you will have an epiphany, as almost every single leader I've done this with over the past decade has done. What you're going to see is that there are things that you are spending your time on that are not in your genius zone. And probably 80% of my leaders recognize that they are spending more time on the things that are not in their genius zone than they are on things that are in their genius zone. What does that mean? What does that mean for you? When you're spending a majority of your time on things that absolutely exhaust you, you say, well, Karen, I can't afford to hire anybody else. Or Karen, it's just me. That's the work that we do inside of Vision Casters Academy. Inner Circle is getting ready to launch soon. So we'll be doing that very specifically with some of our experienced leaders, et cetera, so on. But my point is, you always have more options than you realize. I've proven it time and time again. It's one of the reasons why Rock Your Vision and my corporate practice has grown so significantly, is because that you always have more options than you realize. For those of you that are small businesses and you're like, I just really can't afford to hire anybody, I beg to differ, because I bet you lunch, if I came inside your business, I would prove to you that you can get help. You can identify those areas where you are spending too much of your time, and it doesn't have to cost you a fortune. But let me say this to you. If you are trying to grow a business, if you are trying to build a vision you love around your family or your finances or any area, I don't care what it is, friend, you cannot do it alone. You might be able to do it for a minute, but you won't be able to sustain it. If you're serious about building a vision you love, which is our kind of theme, that's our thing, okay, then you have to remember that you cannot do it alone. The key is to understand how to do it, right? How to do it the right way, and you can do it. Okay. You have highlighted the items that energize you or exhaust you. I want you to focus on the categories that exhaust you, and I want you to ask yourself some questions. Who is the right person to handle this? Maybe you already have a team, or maybe you don't have a team. Even if you don't have a team, this is so important. Come on in here. I need you to stick with this. I don't care if you don't have a team right now. All I want you to do is to identify who would be the right person to handle this. If you had help, who would be the right person to handle this? Off to the side, I want you to list either your existing team members, and let's talk about existing team members. Maybe you have existing team members who are experts in this field. Amazing, good for you. Like, that's a blessing. Identify who those people are. Maybe you have team members, but they are not yet at the skill level that they need to be in order to do that. In other words, they have the ability, they have the aptitude, they have the commitment or the fortitude. Your next step is to then be able to identify what they need to get them there. Okay. That's where you talk about development plans. Okay. We're going to map a development plan. This is the work that we do inside of Vision Casters Academy for our entrepreneurs, et cetera, so on. That's coming later in the year. But this is really where you begin as an entrepreneur, as a workplace leader. This is really where you begin to learn how to do those things, right? You identify, I'm exhausted. This is work I'm doing that I really don't want to be doing, or I shouldn't be doing, right? You're going to identify who those people are on your team. If you don't have them, this is where you identify, if I had somebody who was a genius or an expert in this area, what would I want them to do? Okay, that's your next step. Make a list of what it is you would like them to do. And friend, don't make any assumption about what that is. If you call a staffing agency or you place an ad or you use one of the gig platforms like Upwork or Fiverr, and you reach out and you say, hey, I need somebody to do my marketing, and somebody responds and says, oh, I'll do your marketing. And then you get them on board, you get them on deck, and they really are not as skilled as you need them. There is a way to identify exactly what you need. That's for another episode, but y'all see where I'm going. Are y'all still there? Is this landing? I hope you're writing this down. Y'all, this is good. Absolutely free. I'm just saying. Okay. After you organize what needs to be handed off, remember, we went and we looked at those areas that you highlighted that exhaust you. Okay. And friend, no judgment. No judgment, no judgment, no judgment. It does not matter what exhausts you. What is important is that you identify what are those things that just wear you out. You just hate doing them. Y'all, do you want to hear what it is for me? I'm just going to be honest. Like, there are things that I can do in my sleep. I love to do them. I just don't want to do them. So I procrastinate. That's an indicator. Friend, if you procrastinate, if you wait until the last minute, if you're always late, hand it off. Delia, laundry, hand it off, girl. There are services that do that thing. Okay? That you always have options. Hand it off. Okay. Now you've organized what needed to be handed off. I'm going to go back and summarize step 1 all the way through. Step 1, identify and categorize your areas of responsibility or impact. Step 2, rate each category. Assess what you need and want. That's step 2. Assess what you need and want, and do that by rating each of those categories on a scale of 1 to 5. Okay? Make a list of how you spend your day or your week, right? Write it all down. I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. What are all the things? Identify which items energize you and which exhaust you. 2 different color highlights or circle and put a box, whatever system works for you. Identify which items energize you and which exhausts you. And then identify the things that exhaust you and which team members you either need to hand it off to, or which team members, if you don't already have them, which team members in an ideal state, like you had all the help that you need and all like that, which team members would be most beneficial? Like, I need a marketing person who specializes in email delivery or whatever. Y'all, by the way, this is work I've done myself. So anyway, organize, identify who those team members are. If you have team members in place who could do the work, but maybe are not doing the work, maybe their time isn't well spent, maybe they have available time, but you really just haven't made the time to identify all of the things. And the bonus tip was, make no assumptions. The more specific you are in assigning roles and responsibilities, the more likely you are to be successful and to get the results that you want. Okay, there's no shame and no harm in tweaking, but you got to get clear. And as a vision-driven leader, friend, you have to be the one who does that. I'm almost done, I promise. Then I want you to map the next 90 days around that list. Come on. Map the next 90 days. In Vision Casters Academy, we call it vision mapping. Okay? Map the next 90 days to either hand off those responsibilities that exhaust you. And by the way, you may decide, it may be a reality for you that you can't hand everything off, right? Maybe you're a solopreneur and you recognize you can only hire one more person, right? That's a whole separate thing. We can talk about that. If y'all would like to cover that, let me know in one of the shows. You're going to map the next 90 days to hand off. That process takes time. So what would you do first? What would you do next? And so on. It may be that the next thing that you need to do is to write a job description. It may be that you need help. Maybe you need to huddle up like with one of our Vision Casters Academy sessions, or you need to, huddle up with your team and identify who's doing what and what you need. I don't know. Okay. So you say, well, Karen, I'm not sure that I can even touch handing things off. Here's your tip. Simplify. That's for free, y'all. Simplify. I had to do that early in my business. I recognized I didn't know anything about handing anything off, but I recognized that in my business, I was making things too complicated. Friend, do you make things too complicated? Do you overpromise? Do you say, oh, I'll do this and I'll do this and I'll do this and I'll do this? Yes. And then there you are. And realizing that you're staying up till 3 a.m. every day and working through vacation. Not that I've ever done any of those things, but I'm just saying, map the next 90 days to begin handing off, reallocating, or simplifying the things that exhaust you. Okay? Final thing, identify one thing to go deeper on in terms of your area of genius. Okay? Where are you in your genius zone? Where do you find the most satisfaction? Where do you give your best contribution to the world? Where is that? Did you know that when you operate in the eagle, when you step into eagle mode, you give the world, your business, your team, your family, your best contribution. Y'all, when I stepped fully into eagle mode, and when I discipline myself to be in eagle mode, maybe that's the workshop that we'll do. Maybe that's one of the next workshops that we'll do. We'll just do a series and walk you through, do a done with you, walk you through where you can do that. If that's something that you'd be interested in, let me know in the comments. Listen, we do not play up in here. I told y'all in 23 I wasn't playing. Like, this is not light stuff. Like, do not show up if you're not ready to do the work. I'm just saying. All right, I'm going to jump into the comments as we get ready to close. Thank y'all for sticking with me. This has been so much fun. This is my genius zone. Let me go back into the comments. Amanda says, yes, this definitely resonates. Awesome. I love you too, Kimberly. Tiandra says, it's like fighting your battles. You have to know when to fight or stand down. Come on, preach, girl. My little Tay-Tay. Come on up in here. Let's see. Kelsey. Hey, Kelsey Jordan. What's up, girl? So glad to have you in here. Thank you for joining us this morning. We are glad to see you. She says, yes, girl. I needed this today. So good. Delia says she's writing all the golden nuggets. Come on. Come on. Come on. Yes. And I'm serious, girl. Can I just tell you? I was looking up laundry providers the other day, and don't any of y'all talk to me about being bougie, because I'm not, okay? That's a whole separate show, and y'all don't want to hear that today. Heather says, do you find as a leader delegating is one of the hardest things to do? Yes, it is one of the hardest things to do, and it is also, I have learned that it is actually one of the things I am most inspired to do. It's been a journey. It's a great question. It's one of the things I'm most inspired to do. And I delegate much quicker. I delegate much, much quicker than I used to. I will hire a virtual assistant much, much quicker than I used to do, because now I understand how to use virtual assistants and the process of delegation to help me make progress in my business. You can do the same thing in your work. I do that. I help my leaders do that on a regular basis where they're stuck or they're overwhelmed and they are so in the weeds. They're so in gerbil mode, or they're in that bird. They have that bird view that they're just pecking at all of the things. My job as an eagle is to help them step into eagle mode. I think I'm gonna get me a t-shirt. What do you think? Anyway, Kimberly says, This Jumpstart has been monumental in kicking off my week. Thank you, Coach Karen. Mwah. I love y'all so much. I hope that this has been a powerful jumpstart to your week. Go back and watch these episodes and then tell your friends. Like, I like to chat it up on Monday mornings. This is much a jumpstart for me as it is for you. I love you. I'm going to leave you with this last thing. And I need y'all to remember this, and I'm serious. Remember, you always have more options than you realize. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.